New England Ski Journal's Basecamp Podcast, presented by Country Ski and Sport. Ski season is here, and it's time to gear up at Country Ski and Sport. Shop now for your best preseason deals at any of their 3 locations in Hanson, Quincy, and Westwood, Mass. Or shop online at countryski.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to the New England Ski Journal Basecamp Podcast. Hopefully everybody's doing well, getting some ski turns in. I'm Mike Specian, your host, with my co-host.
Still not Eric Wilbur.
Oh my goodness, I'm David, I'm missing Eric, but you are an incredible fill-in.
Well, I hope he doesn't get Wally pipped, meaning the guy who had a headache, sat down for one day, and then Lou Gehrig replaced him and played 2,300 games in a row. But that's impossible because I know about this amount of skiing compared to what Eric does. We miss him. He'll be back very soon.
2,300 games. I don't think I've got 2,300 podcasts in me, just so you know. But have you been following the crazy weather, the wintertime weather going across the country, David?
Yeah, and you're a great person to ask about it because the weather to me is just a bummer and another thing for me to complain about. But when it affects something that is at your heart and soul as much as skiing is for you, I know that it's important. And so, yeah, it's been nuts, unseasonably warm. And but out west, I guess, a different story, you were telling me.
It is, and I'm going to show you something since my laptop is up. Mm-hmm. This is my Google search every morning. And what is it, David?
My eyes are bad. The first 2 letters are Connecticut. Oh, Connecticut Ski Report. Vermont Ski Report.
Mass Ski Report. New Hampshire Ski Report. Colorado Ski Report. That's what my laptop shows me every morning in my Google searches. And I go through each one to find out who's getting the goods when I'm not getting the goods.
Yeah, it's skiing version of FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But it has been a wild month of weather. Mm. I mean, did you see how much snow the Sierra?
I didn't, but do tell unless it's too painful for you.
Oh,
because you're not there.
It's painful because I'm getting messages going, when you coming out? But Lake Tahoe, 10 plus feet of snow. Mm. I mean, Kirkwood, buried. I mean, it has been absolutely crazy. That storm finally hit Boise, Idaho. Lynn Weiland, who we had on the show.
Sure.
She's in Boise skiing Bogus Basin. I saw pictures and stuff out there. Jackson Hole, a friend from Cape Cod, is living out there for the winter. The snow is incredibly deep. And then Utah and Colorado finally are fully on.
So does that mean that the season stretches for them or not necessarily?
That is affirmative. Yeah. Not all seasons, but what I heard out of California, they will be going into April and May now, where early season, they had nothing.
I'm sure you have. Have you ever skied in shorts?
I have numerous times.
You have? Okay. Where was that?
I've skied in shorts here in the East and in the West.
You got to get real lucky here, though, right? I mean, you got
no, because we have that glacier at Killington that stays on until June 1.
Oh, okay.
And there are some warm days, and we've had some warm days already, which is pretty cool. The tough part is that you got to keep the snow out of your boots,
right?
Because it's flying up. But I'm going to diverge here a little bit. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about roller coasters on my way in. Have you ever been on any really cool roller coasters?
Sure. I'm not like a huge roller coaster guy, but I love rides, period. My favorite is probably the one at Disney World, the Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster, which is an indoor roller coaster.
Sure.
But I remember being in high school and either skipping school or taking a day off to go to Paragon Park and ride that. And you just felt like you were taking your life into your own hands because it was wooden. You could hear it creak and moan as you went up, So, that was a good one.
Well, I like the wooden roller coasters. I grew up in Western New York, and we used to have a roller coaster just over the border in Canada called the Comet, and it was rickety. it creaked. It was right off of Lake Erie. And, I was thinking about that roller coaster on the way down here from New Hampshire today going, feels like the ski season this year in New England. A little rickety, a little creaky.
Ups and downs.
Ups and downs.
Sometimes some screaming. When you read a bad weather report.
Yes. It's been such a roller coaster here in New England. We had nothing, and then we nailed it. Game was on completely while I was rehabbing. By the way, folks, I'm on the hill. My doctor gave me the go-ahead before 16 weeks to go do what I want.
Hey!
So,
if we had a producer here, he could play the applause sound effect, but I'm busy.
But when all you're doing,
congratulations.
When all you're doing is being at home, rehabbing, listening to podcasts, and watching weather reports, it was pretty friggin' rough. But you know what? We're going to still have a springtime. We have some good shows coming up for the springtime before we get to the end, to truly into April. So we're still on board with that. But I guess I have another question for you. As a teenager, as a college student or whatever, did you have any dreams or any aspirations that you really wanted to do?
Yeah, I wanted to switch places with David Letterman. I wanted his job. In my younger days, I definitely wanted to be an astronaut, but probably because I enjoyed the show The $6 Million Man, which you'll recall. And
I'm not that old.
That's right. We're both old enough to remember Lee Majors as the astronaut who gets injured on re-entry to Earth, I guess, and they have to build him back with bionics. So I wanted to be the Bionic Man. And then I guess I did have a humble goal to actually get paid to write something. That one I eventually realized. So, but how about yourself?
You know what? I am an absolute dreamer. My wife will tell you that. I'm always saying, well, how about if we spend the year on Bon Air and I can windsurf, or, let's move to Montana so I can ski. But I'm a dreamer of wanting to do so many things. I guess the biggest aspiration I had was when my son was in middle school. And this never happened. It still bothers me. I hope someday we have the chance. I wanted to take him out of middle school for a full month and travel the inner mountains of Utah, Montana, Wyoming, not skiing the big resorts, but taking him and skiing all the small resorts. That was my goal. I mean, I thought it was going to happen. We had it set up where we had the right vehicle to do it. But I guess I got some cold feet wondering who's going to pay for it.
It could get pricey. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that still remains an unrequited dream for the moment. But don't give up on it, Mike.
You know what?
Keep dreaming.
It's one of many dreams. And I can tell you on this podcast, Eric and I spoke about it at one point. I go to bed dreaming about things, whether it be being on a windsurfer, at 30 knots and having a great wave to sail, or being in powder, or just being on a bike. So those dreams happen to me every day. Sure. But when I meet somebody that actually realizes the dreams that they had, I'm in awe.
And I think our guest today falls into that very category. So, and I'm excited to hear this conversation with Ben White. If you're in the skiing world, you're probably familiar with the name. Big mountain skier. And I was asking you before we started recording, Mike, how would you describe Ben White? And you said today's ski bum. Today, the 2024 version of the ski bum is, because I usually describe you as a ski bum.
Yeah,
but you have a job, so.
Yeah. I was never that ski bum due to the fact that I was so driven to be at the top. And, Ben's a little bit different, and we'll get into it with him. But Ben is somebody that did something that I had not known anybody else to do, and that is ski all of the 48 4,000 footers in New Hampshire in one season.
Wow.
Okay. Chris Davenport did it out in Colorado with all the 14,000 footers, which is pretty cool. But he not only did it, he wasn't even an adult. He was 17 years old.
That's nuts.
Well, to have parents that say go for it. And I think it's going to be a fun conversation here with Ben. I've known Ben. I know the family. And Ben and I have done a couple things together. But he impresses me as somebody that has a goal and says, let's go do it.
It was good you booked him for today. I'm sure he's skiing somewhere, probably today or tomorrow or all the time. And sometimes in remote places, hard to reach.
Yes, he is. Just for all the listeners, Ben is a New England boy, grew up here in Massachusetts, and he will be on right after this message.
Looking for expert ski, snowboard, and boot fitting advice? Stop into one of Country Ski and Sport's 3 locations in Quincy, Westwood, or Hanson, Mass. As a third-generation family business, Country Ski has provided Boston area skiers with the best service and discounts in the area for over 50 years. Whether you are brand new to the sport or a seasoned veteran, Country Ski has the equipment and accessories for all ability levels. Don't forget to ask about their popular season lease program, which helps families eliminate the growing pains of purchasing new equipment every year as kids grow. And don't forget, any child 18 years or younger receives a free season pass to Saddleback Mountain with each lease from Country Ski. Visit countryski.com for all the latest information or to shop online.
The Button Ski Hanger is a patented ski storage fixture that safely stores alpine skis regardless of length, width, or shape. This means that your fat powder skis can now be stored next to your narrower carving skis, your race skis, and your kid skis. For more information, visit their website, buttonskirack.com. The Button Ski Hanger is also available for purchase at amazon.com. So make your purchase today. The Button Ski Hanger is simply better for your skis.
At 4,237 feet, Sugarloaf is one of the largest ski areas in the East and second highest peak in the state of Maine, trailing only Mount Katahdin. Boasting over 1,300 acres of open terrain and a vertical drop of nearly 3,000 feet, Sugarloaf offers a wide variety of terrain for all ability levels. A historic winter is ahead with the debut of West Mountain. It's the largest terrain expansion in the Northeast since the late 1970s, adding 12 new beginner and intermediate trails, 88,000 feet of snowmaking pipe, and 246 HKD snowmaking guns. Sugarloaf is a destination not to be missed. Stay slopeside and plan your trip today at sugarloaf.com.
Welcome back to the Basecamp Podcast, everyone. Now on the Zoom line is Ben White, coming to us from the Wasatch in Utah. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Mike. Thanks so much for having me on.
Oh, I am super excited to talk about a few things with you. I think the last time you and I were together, we were riding mountain bikes across the Crest Trail out there, right?
That's right. Yeah, we were at Deer Valley, and somebody biffed it on the bike. Was that me?
I think it was you. Yeah, you were on a loaner Scott bike. I remember that.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, somebody biffed it. It could have been me, and we had a great day riding bikes. That was fun.
Oh yeah, I mean, going from Deer Valley all the way over to the canyons, up high, it is a ride to dream about, folks. Anybody that skied the Park City area, they know exactly where I'm talking about. Looking down on Park City proper as you come across, but it's a burner. I'll tell you what, the young buck, he did crash, but he rode the whole thing, and he wasn't huffing and puffing like me. But that's all good. Well, Ben, want to welcome you on the podcast. We did, for any of the listeners, we did have Ben's mom on, who heads up the International History of Skiing. How do you pronounce that, Ben? What?
ISHA, International Ski History, Ski History Association, ISHA, ISHA.
There we go. So we had his mom on. Ben comes from a great background and family of adventurers, to say the least. But we're going to talk to Ben today about some of the things he did here in New England, which are amazing since he's a Massachusetts boy. Why don't you tell us about where you are from and how you became so passionate about skiing, Ben?
So I'm from the North Shore of Massachusetts, and mom and dad, they met in a ski shop at the ski market, and they ended up getting together and having a couple of kids. And mom spent my birthday's in April, and she got to spend like her entire pregnancy skiing with me. And so I think that's how I got the bug. My sister, she's born in June, and she doesn't really have the bug. My sister loves to ski, but somehow I got a screw loose or something, and all I really want to ever do is just go slide downhill.
That's awesome. Yeah. I don't remember. I knew your mom at that point and your dad, but I don't remember when the pregnancy was. But how old are you right now, Ben?
I'm 30.
Okay, you're 30 years old. Back when you were in high school, David and I were just talking about goals, about how we had goals and wanted to meet them. Back in high school, you came up with a goal. Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, a little before high school, I had the goal of I want to move to Utah and ski every day. That sounds pretty good. And when I was 16, I met Chris Davenport, and he lived in Colorado. And as a 16-year-old, I thought, well, that guy skis every day. That's his job. He's a professional skier. And so I thought, okay, Dav has 10 fingers and 10 toes, and he's also from Massachusetts. I've got 10 fingers and 10 toes. I'm from Massachusetts. How do I get to go ski every day? And Dav had recently finished, only a year or two prior, maybe 3, skiing all of the 14ers in Colorado in a single year. And I thought, well, that's the thing I'm missing. I haven't done this kind of a thing. And so I looked in my own backyard and I thought, well, if Dav has 10 fingers and 10 toes and has skied down every big mountain in his backyard, and I've got 10 fingers and 10 toes, and I haven't skied down every mountain in my backyard, then I should just do that. And so I looked at the New Hampshire 48, which people love to hike, mostly in the summer. And I thought, I'll just ski down all the New Hampshire 4,000 footers. And so I did.
Yeah. Chris Davenport, for any of the listeners who don't know who Chris is, Chris grew up in Marblehead. He went to the Holderness School. Became the poster child for Solomon at one point. I mean, and I believe he still lives out in the Aspen area, and is part of Peak Skis with Bodie Miller at this point. But a long history, New England boy that has done some remarkable things, and what a great person to use as an idol.
Oh, phenomenal role model. Holy cow.
Yes, just a great guy. So when did you do it?
I started Thanksgiving of 2010 and finished Easter 2011.
So that was all in one season then?
All in one season.
And I guess it wasn't the season we're having this year with snow for sure. Was it a good snow year?
It was a surprisingly very good snow year. And I got really, really lucky with all the snow.
All right. So I guess I have to ask, were you skinning it? Were you using you were skinning it?
Yep.
What kind of equipment were you using?
I had, I was a ski racer guy, so I had my ski racing boots, and I had some nice heavy frame bindings and a pair of skis and skins, and that's what I used.
Well, okay, that was 2011, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got some other questions, but I'm going to go sideways here a little bit. Okay, 13 years later, could you imagine using that equipment today to bag peaks?
I would, if it was what was available, I would use it because it was the best thing available at the time. And now today, if I see somebody in the parking lot with all the same stuff, I think, oh, I am a lucky guy. Like I've got walk mode in my boots. Everything's a lot lighter weight.
Well, yeah, with tech boots and the ability to have great uphill capacity and downhill capacity out of one boot, it is
Mhm.
when you just said that, I didn't know what you were using,
Yeah.
but you just blew me away going, it's like pushing a huge boulder uphill every time you climb it with it,
No,
with that heavier equipment.
it's more like walking uphill for, I think my buddy Alan mapped it out. It was close to 280 miles with no walk mode and nice plug race boots.
Okay, okay. I've once again, I'm going sideways here a little bit. How many blisters out of that one?
None. I was 17.
Okay, fair enough. Exactly. Did you do all this by yourself, or did you have people with you?
There were a number of key partners and a few other partners who would show up for one or two, but yeah, Alan was critical to the whole mission, and that was great. And then Kathy and Katrin and Scott and George, a few others, they showed up for more than one. But yeah, the one rule that mom and dad had for a 17-year-old was that I couldn't go alone, which is, I was like, what do you mean I can't go alone? Like, it's a walk in the woods. I'm fine. And at 17, that's a totally normal line of thinking. But now that I'm 30, if a 17-year-old said, I'm going to do this, I'd probably say, maybe make sure at the very least, like, have another pair of eyes with you, because like it's important to do that.
Yeah, at 17, or in my case at 22 at the time, we thought we were invincible because I actually went up into Tuckerman's by myself at 22 with nobody else in the ravine and went and skied it, which
Yeah.
probably was, we'll say one of my more stupid moments, but the things we do when we're younger.
Yeah.
Well, were each of these peaks done individually?
No. Often I would link them up. The Let's see. There's 48 of them, and it took me 23 days on snow to finish the project. And so I was averaging a little over two every time I went out into the woods.
Okay. With that being said, averaging two, what type of vertical climb were you doing to get them? And just a guesstimate, because it's much different than being out in the Wasatch where you're at now.
It's not that much different actually. From the parking lot to the top, I think was averaging 1,500 to 3,500 vertical feet.
Okay.
I was putting in pretty decently sizable days. The rule for what makes it a 4,000 footer is it's got to have 200 feet of prominence from one to the next. And so sometimes it's more, sometimes it's, we go up to one and then go down 500 or 1,000 feet down the hiking trail, and then up to the next one, and then back to the car. So it seems like a lot of people in general are putting in about 1,500 to 2,500 vertical feet, and that's like a normal like outing. I don't know what the equivalent for mountain biking is, but like most people seem to be able to do 2 to 3 hours of exercise, and I was doing a lot more than that.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially depending on what you were going through snow wise. Well, all of us know about Tuckerman's. Most of us have skied it at one point or another. We've hiked in the Whites.
Yep.
Whether it be bagging a peak, whether it be just out for a stroll. Why do you give us two or three of the memorable days that you had and what you experienced out there?
Okay, 2 or 3 memorable days skiing the 48. Definitely Prezi traversing. That was like that was a day that basically opened my eyes to what's possible in life. Doing a presidential traverse is, let's see, Madison, Adams, Jefferson, Washington, Monroe, Eisenhower, Pierce. So it's 7 summits. Jackson is on the presidential ridge, but it's not named after President Jackson. So some people count it, some people don't. We didn't do that. So we had 7 summits to bang out, 9,000 vertical feet, a lot of it above tree line. And my buddy Alan said, "Oh yeah, like Thursday's the day to do this." And I thought, okay, great. And mom and dad thought they were they were leaving town for like basically an Aisha or whatever event. And I said, yeah, I'm going to go skiing Thursday. I'm going to blow off school. Like, you're going out of town, and how are you going to stop me? And they sat me down, and the discussion was, school is really important. It's really important for you to get an education. We're going out of town, and we expect you to make the right decision. And I thought, amazing, I'm making the right decision. Like, I'm going skiing. And so I just blasted off immediately after school. That was a Wednesday, drove up a couple hours to New Hampshire, maybe slept a little bit. And then we had to drop a car, and I think we hit the snow at 12:30 in the morning and cruised up, watched the sunrise from Madison, skied pretty good, like rime ice over boulders down to Madison Hut, then skinned up Adams, skied powder first thing in the morning from Adams down to Jefferson, and continued to stay above tree line for like the whole rest of the day. And that was 16 total hours in ski boots and like 24 hours awake. And it really opened my mind at 17 years old to like wake up early and just start moving, and like amazing things can happen. And it doesn't really matter. Like, it could be, going for a walk, it could be going skiing all day, it could be kind of anything, but like all that has to happen is like wake up at an uncomfortable time and just start doing stuff. It was amazing.
That's incredible, because, well, first off, most kids, when mom and dad go away, would say, "Hey, party at my house." Or, the other thing I'm thinking, as you said, 24 hours, the 24 hours of Aspen is a pretty big event, but my goodness, could any of those athletes do 24 hours in the Whites on the Pemi Traverse? That's interesting. It's real.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's also the last skier standing competition at Black Mountain in New Hampshire. And those guys will go for 72 hours, just continual skiing. It's really amazing.
It's impressive. So give us another one. The Pemi Traverse is...
Yeah, Pemi Traverse. So Prezi Traverse.
The Prezi, I'm sorry. I that's what I meant. The Prezi Traverse. Give me another one.
The Pemi Traverse, that was another great one. So we did the Zealand, West Bond, and Bond Cliff. Maybe not quite in that order, but yeah, that was another big. That was 4 summits, and it was like 20. It was more miles, but less vertical than a Prezi Traverse. So traversing the Pemigewasset Wilderness north to south. That was quite the day, and it was a beautiful sunny day until it wasn't. And I remember standing on Bond Cliff, watching the sun go down in the rain, and like being pretty tired, and just thinking like, if I do anything such as complain, that is not getting me home.
Right.
And that was a huge life lesson right there. It's just like, okay, like sun's going down, it's starting to rain. Just start getting it done. Like, finish the Cliff Bar and get on the move. Okay. And so we did. And Alan was with me on that one too. And we had our friend Kathy, who is on snowshoes, which is probably a better tool for cruising around when the trees are really tight. And we just skedaddled along. And I remember getting to the Lincoln Woods bathroom and thinking like, oh my God, it's unlocked and it's dry and there's a heater in here. And it was the most glorious Taj Mahal palace I'd ever been in. And that was a really great, memorable day.
That is incredible. And it really makes you appreciate the little extras of life when you're in conditions like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. Anybody else that you know of that has completed this feat?
So Todd, he he skied, I think he had skied half of them or so, the enjoyable ones to ski by the traditional definition. And his name surfaced. I was throwing out on internet forums. I was like, hey, I want to try and do this. And people said, oh, Todd's done that. And I talked to Todd, and it was basically like, good luck, have fun, I wish you the best. It's different. And I was like, okay, great. Like, I'm 17. Like, how hard can it be? I'm invincible. Like, I'm signing up for an adventure. So Todd's done it. Alan had skied a bunch, and so he figured he should finish. So I think he finished. And then those are the only three people that I know of, Todd, Alan, and myself. And there's probably been like one or two other people out there that just keep it quiet. But yeah,
Sure.
that's about it.
Well, you met that goal at 17. You had another goal of moving to Utah. You met that too. What's that all about?
Well, yeah, so when I was 11, we went for the Great Family Disaster Ski Trip. The grandparents, mom's parents, they thought, hey, let's take the kids, let's do a big family trip, and maybe we'll go to Gettysburg. And my mom and aunt thought, Gettysburg sounds great, but skiing sounds more fun. And so they did the work, and I was 11, so this was 2004 or 5, where doing the work to find out where is a great place to go for a ski trip, that was hard. And so we went, 2 grandparents, 4 parents, and 5 kids from age 6 to 11. And we stayed in Park City and skied every day. And I remember skiing deep snow and thinking, oh my God, this is what I'm supposed to do forever. Like, so I need to move at 11 years old. I thought, I'm going to move to Utah and I'm going to ski every day. And that was the mission. So I moved to Utah, and here I am.
Well, it's a wonderful spot, and it's a far cry from skiing Attitash or Bretton Woods in the Whites. Totally different experience. And I'm with you. The first time, snow hit my knees, then my quads, then my waist, and then my chest. It changed my life in how I felt, what I wanted to do. I know I'm on the East Coast, but I'll take fresh, deep powder, especially Utah powder, any day. So have you bagged any peaks out there? I mean, have you tried to do the same thing in Utah that you did here?
Yeah, I did. Good question. When I moved out to Utah, I thought, well, I'm a hotshot 18-year-old dude. Like, let's see what we can do here. And it's different. There's a new skill set to learn. Right? Like every mountain range kind of has its own peculiarities, and smart people from Utah usually will link up with a local from Colorado or whatever. And I was from Massachusetts, and so I needed to get smart and like learn to ski in Utah, which is a slightly different skill set. And so I started looking at like, okay, what are people doing here? And Utah doesn't really have this culture of like bag every mountain. There are a few good trails around and a few high points that people bag, but there just isn't this, like, when people think of Colorado, it's like, bang, the 14ers. When people think of like New Hampshire, it's like, oh, like this summer I'm going to do the New Hampshire 48. Utah doesn't really have that. And so I had a little bit of trouble finding something analogous, but nonetheless, I found some lists, and Utah has some 13ers, but they're in the Uintas, and a whole bunch of 12,000 footers. But those are also in the Uintas, which require like a long day on a snowmobile, lots of flat walking. And it's like, it's not necessarily excellent skiing. And then I figured out that the Wasatch is amazing, which is where, Alta, Snowbird, Solitude, Brighton, Park City, Deer Valley is, and the Wasatch is where all of the attention gets. What about the high peaks of the Wasatch? So I think in 2014, or that sounds about right, 2014 or 15, I thought I want to try and ski all the high peaks of the Wasatch, and there are 22 11,000 footers here. And so I got distracted as college kids do, which is fun. And I got to go ski some other stuff in surrounding states with great friends. And then in 2020, the 2021 season, I thought, I'm going to buckle down. Like, I really want to get to know my home range. And so I banged out all 22 11,000 footers and got to look around at all sorts of fun stuff. And so I have done that.
That is incredible. So you skied all those peaks that they want to interconnect. Sort of.
They want to interconnect close to those peaks, just
Okay.
slightly to the east and a little to the north of where the real high peaks are. The high peaks of the Wasatch are a little rugged for most construction, and that would be, they'd probably build a tram and put a revolving restaurant on top of every one of them if they were in Europe. But they're mostly in wilderness. All of them are in wilderness, and so they're going to stay the way they are here. But
Well, I hope they do stay the way they are, and I hope they don't put a restaurant on top. You know, as you fly over into Salt Lake, looking out at the Wasatch, it is quite awe-inspiring and incredible. So I guess David asked me at the beginning of this podcast, how would I describe Ben? And I said, well, I'd describe him as today's ski bum. Ski bums back when used to be lift ops and so on. Now it's tough to find anybody to do those jobs. So they had to reinvent themselves. The ski bum at Stowe used to, you know, another close friend of mine who's in Steamboat now used to laugh because he was a ski bum up there at one point, and they used to have, you know, tomato soup was go and get ketchup packages and put some water in with it. Okay,
Yeah.
This is lunch, right?
Those are calories.
Yeah, you know that.
Yeah.
So what is, you know, I classified you as today's ski bum. How would you, is that a fair assumption?
That's a pretty good one. Yeah, ski bum is good. Ski addict, that's another good one, right? Yeah, my priorities are: number one, go skiing; number two, do as little of whatever else I have to do in order to go skiing.
Okay, so how do you make that happen? I know you don't have a trust fund behind you. So I know that personally, and Mom told me that, by the way. And how do you make all that happen then?
So basically, let's see. The last number of years I've been teaching paragliding all summer, and then pretending to work all winter. And pretending to work is generally like, well, yeah, I could do that. And maybe people would ask like how much, and you know, I'll kind of do a lot of stuff, and I'd give them a general, I don't really want to do it price, but if they bid, then great, I'd make, you know, a couple $100, and then instead of slaving away at whatever, then, you know, I had my paragliding, you know, summer fund built up, and I'd draw off that. And then if I could make $200 or $500 or $800 in a day doing something else in the winter, well, it's not too bad to give up a day of skiing. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. And lately I've been working on a home concierge service where I take all my ski bum friends and I say, go drive around and pick up all of these people's skis, and we're offering mobile ski delivery or ski tuning, pickup and delivery. And so among that, so I offer ski tuning, mobile or pickup and delivery, ski tuning, bike tuning, housekeeping, lawn mowing, window cleaning, and I maintain a network. And on the chairlift, I can make a deal happen, which is just so wonderful, because then I don't actually have to do it, but I get to be the networker and the creator and the decision maker, and then I get to go skiing.
Where did I go wrong? David, I know you're over there. Where did I go wrong?
Well,
it's only a 45-minute podcast, Mike, so I don't know if we have time.
I mean, I might be going wrong because I can't find competitors. And so is there a reason nobody else is doing this? I don't know. Maybe it's like not economically viable to run a business like this. I don't know. I might find out. Hopefully I don't. Hopefully I end up creating a trust fund. That would be lovely. And then I get to really ski every day and not be obligated to do anything else.
Yeah, then you can choose whether you want to skin up that peak or hop on a copter and get up on that peak. I understand.
It would be great.
I understand to have that option depending on time of day. But so in the background behind you there, I recognize that peak. What is it?
That's Monte Cristo, and that's right across from Alta and Snowbird, basically. And Mount Superior is a sub peak of it.
So have you made turns down that?
I've made turns down it in lots of places.
That is, what's the pitch like up top?
It's actually not that steep. There's a nice couloir down here with a rappel right about there. It's not particularly steep. It's got this really nice like low angle. The top bowl is actually kind of low angle, and then the couloir gets a little bit steep, and of course the rappel is a cliff, but it's not super crazy steep.
Right. So little Chamonix at the bottom for us, rappelling out of it. But can you do laps up there in the bowl up high?
You could, but people don't.
Gotcha, okay.
It's not a very big bowl, and it's high elevation, and it's south facing, and so people usually will
hit it in the morning.
Hit it in the morning, and then get out of there and move out of it before the wet slides slough them out over the cliff.
Sure. Yeah. Well, probably a good idea. I mean, those air packs only work so much to save you at that point.
Yeah, they get you on top. They don't survive 100-foot rappel.
Yeah, exactly. So what's next? What's next in line for you?
More skiing. What else would be next?
Well, I get that, but how do you've got a couple things going. Anything else in the coffer to create the opportunity to ski more?
Yeah, a few.
Come on.
This
is a live podcast. You don't get to hold back on this one.
No, this isn't live. This is recorded. And I'm trying to save the thing I'm working on until it's printed in hand. Because there's a lot of variables to that. But anyways, more things that I want to ski down. I would love to do a trip to Baffin Island. That would just blow my circuits. Oh my God. Largest island in Canada, 70 degrees north. And there are 3,000 and 4,000 foot couloirs from the ocean, from the sea ice, directly up through huge walls of 2 billion-year-old granite. And apparently the snow just stays good all the time because it never melts a little bit. It just stays frozen. So Baffin Island is really high on my list.
That's phenomenal. I'm not betting against you, man. Because everything you have told me here today has happened. And it's happened because you had a goal. It happened because you had a passion. It's happened because you were committed to that passion and goal. And without that commitment, things go by the wayside.
I also got really, really lucky between weather, snow, partners, lack of things getting in the way, because life does that however it wants to. Item number 0 is often luck.
Timing and luck are very important, but vision of where you want to go, where you want to be, without that vision, and I'm going to give accolades to both mom and dad, who gave you the leash to actually go after that vision.
They gave me a pretty long leash, which I would chalk up to, like, I didn't get to pick my parents. And so I got really lucky with that pair.
That is, yes, you did. And I know that for a fact. Well, Ben, it was an absolute pleasure talking to you. I haven't spoken with you in quite a while. before we leave, what are you doing with paragliding? You caught my interest there.
Well, yeah, what am I doing with it? It's pretty darn fun. It's kind of the same thing I've been doing with skiing, where it's like, let's go and move in a great fluid way down a mountain and through the air. It's really fun. I've been teaching it for the last 7 years full time in the summer. And that's kind of what I've been doing.
Have you married the two together, skiing and paragliding at all?
Oh my God, yes. And it's like a video game and a dream combined. It's so fun.
Oh my goodness. Who needs drugs when you have that, huh?
Yeah. Holy smokes, right? That amazing 100-foot cliff at the bottom of the bowl. It's not even a blink with a little paraglider overhead. We ski a little bit, make a few turns in powder, and then we go, oh, 500-foot cliff. We might, tap it a little bit and say, hey, glider, are you over my head doing what I want? And then we fly off, do a barrel roll, land a little bit, ski more powder, do the same thing. It's really incredible.
Well, Ben, I can say, and I'm going to use this term, life doesn't suck for you, does it?
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Ben, it was a pleasure having you on. I love the backdrop of the Wasatch behind you. I know the snow is awfully good out there right now.
It's really good.
Yeah, so folks, go get it. Ben White from Utah. We'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate it. It's been fun.
This is the year to visit the Jackson Hole Mountain Resort. With over 450 inches of annual snowfall, 4,000 vertical feet of continuous fall line skiing, a world-renowned ski school, and terrain for everyone, the Jackson Hole Mountain Resort is perfect for your next ski trip with friends or family. Off the slopes, Jackson Hole offers adventure and relaxation. Visit Yellowstone or Grand Teton National Parks. See elk, moose, and bison roaming in their natural habitats, or relax in a hot spring or at a spa. No more excuses. This is the year to go visit Jackson Hole. Go to jacksonhole.com for more information.
Hestra knows hands. For over 80 years, Hestra has been producing the highest quality, warmest gloves you can own. Crafted with durable, form-fitting leathers, they are made with the end user in mind. Don't let cold hands end a great day of skiing or snowboarding early. With hundreds of different options, you'll find a Hestra glove that fits your needs. Check out Hestra Gloves at hestragloves.com. That's HESTRAGLOVES.com. Or at your local ski shop or wherever Hestra Gloves are sold. Hestra Gloves, taking care of your hands since 1936. Well, I would say that was interesting, but it was even more than interesting. It was jealousy-inducing. It made me want to be him, right? Ben White, free spirit, self-proclaimed ski bum. Actually, I guess we proclaimed him ski bum, but he agreed. And just great to hear what he's up to. And, as we signed off, he said, oh, yeah, I'm getting up tomorrow morning early. Oh, too bad. No, to go up this big mountain and take these amazing photos of my friend. And life's a dream for the kid.
Yeah. We all take different paths in life. There are those people like the Scott Schmidts, the Dan Egans, and I'm going to throw the Ben Whites in there. Maybe they all don't reach the pinnacle at the same location, but they're all out there for one reason: the love of friggin' skiing.
Yeah, and that came through, right? Now, do you see a young Mike Spiecian in Ben? Did you have kind of that attitude at that age?
I wanted to ski, but I was so driven in a different way. Mm-hmm. I'm truly a type A personality that I have to put in check. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit different. As much as I wanted to ski, I also wanted to be able to ski off helicopters and stuff like that, just not ski. So that meant I couldn't just scrape by. I had to go to do it a different way.
Mm-hmm. What do you think we can expect from Ben over the next, decade or so, or even longer?
Well, you know what? I think Ben at one point wanted to be a sponsored athlete, And sponsored athletes, the Shaun Whites of the world, there's only one Shaun White. I'm sorry.
Right.
There's not a lot of people that make it at that level. He wanted that. Now he's figured out that there's more ways to ski without being a lift op, without being flipping burgers, and so on. So I think he's an entrepreneur too, which is really showing in how he's doing so many things. I'm sure he's out there with the pictures that he's taken, trying to put them to publications. And I think that is what today's ski bum has to do, because it's expensive to live in the mountains.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, the sky's the limit for the kind of content that he's creating, right? Because every year the photography gets better, and I'm sure he creates, some amazing stuff with some amazing subjects.
Yeah. First off, he's got one of the most amazing subjects being the Wasatch Mountains. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's as awe-inspiring as any spot in the country. And having access to great snow, the best in the country, great mountains, some of the best in the country, and skiers that can really ski, because we all know the best skiers still come out of the east, but they all move west on us. So I think the sky is the limit for Ben. And I made the comment to him off camera that it's about vision and commitment to that vision. That is the difference in why he is succeeding.
It is. It's inspirational. I just wish I was his age. I have a little bit more energy to do all these things.
Well, I wish I was his age, or I could take a trust fund and then I can do whatever I want. or the lottery would work. Every time my wife says the lottery's big, I go, I quit. I'm going skiing.
You did say at the top of the show you're a dreamer, so dream on, as the boys from Aerosmith would say.
Exactly. Well, David, thank you so much for joining me today and being the yin to my yang, my Eric today. And I'm going to let you close it out.
Very good. Thanks to our guest, Ben White. Tremendous guest. And check the show notes for more information, and you can find out everything that Ben is doing. He's Mike Specian. I'm producer David Yaz. Thanks for listening to the Basecamp Podcast. You can find us on YouTube if you're unaware, or Apple, Spotify. Please follow us wherever you get your pods. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
New England Ski Journal's Basecamp is a Seamans Media podcast. Seamans Media. Inspiring, informative, insightful.